So first of all, thank you, Sankalp, for agreeing to do this. It was a lot more easier to get hold of Sankalp when Grow was not public. Now it's just very difficult. Now there are certain WhatsApp messages to which Sankalp doesn't even reply to. There are regulatory challenges with those.
Oh, we are starting on that note.
So yeah, he's not an easy man to get, and he's been a great friend to WebEngage. Grow has been a great customer of WebEngage for a very long time. We have done some phenomenal work. Sankalp oversees that. Sankalp, Grow doesn't need any introduction. You don't need an introduction. I think a lot of people in the audience know you. But do walk us through your professional journey, the brands that you worked with in the past, the roles you have played. We'll get to my line of questioning, but a little bit of intro about yourself.
No, thank you. I think thanks for the introduction as well. Very kind words spoken. As far as I am concerned, so overall, more than a decade now in this field, and I've been fortunate to work in a mix of growth stage startups as well as MNCs. So startups like Ola, Oyo, MPL, Grow also, I would like to call it a startup.
Still?
Yeah.
Sure.
I think it's a mindset.
Yeah, I
thing.
agree.
Yeah, and good MNCs, growth stage MNCs like Airtel, Domino's, even HP. So yeah, I started my growth journey when the whole CRM piece was probably will sound like a dinosaur to a lot of folks here. Probably user calling a lot, bugging them, or probably sending SMSs to them. Because this is before the app ecosystem.
Well, even today, Policy Bazaar does that. So yes.
Let's not go there. But the good part was that in telecom industry, let's say, a lot of segmentation and a lot of groundbreaking work happened at that time, around 2010, 2012, even 14. Yeah, and I think the two majors that are there, telecom majors, I think they did some great work on how to identify users, how to understand user behavior, and then whatever channels are available, whatever weapons we had, kind of orchestrate a omni-channel journey. So yeah, the limitations were different back then. I think the ball game remains the same over the years. I think a lot of new channels have been added, and rightly so. But the core remains the same, that user has made a trust, has made a trust marker on you, or has made a decision to, get onboarded with you. And how do you fulfill that every day, day in and day out, without being so, buggy, or let's say consistently deliver experience. So yeah, that I think remains the same. It's just the channels have been evolved.
So safe to say, like a decent chunk of your professional career has been in driving growth.
Yeah. I've done a mix of business roles as well. Mm-hmm. So during my Ola stint, I was launching new countries. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of them are closed now, but yeah. But anyway, I think I learned a lot over there. But yes, you're right. I think predominantly spent a lot of time in growth, okay, acquisition, engagement, around SEO and content. So yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. So you mentioned Ola. You had a stint at Oyo, MPL, Domino's.
Gaming is another story altogether.
Gaming is, now it's a different story, but yes. And now, of course, Grow. Different kinds of companies, Sankalp, right? So a lot of, I'm assuming, you've seen a lot of variety in how people think of CLM. Or CRM in general, right? I wouldn't be surprised if how a Domino's looks at it versus how Ola looks at it are very different, or how a Grow looks at it are very different.
Yeah.
If you had to summarize the evolution of CLM, things were very different 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And interesting that you mentioned telcos. We are going to unveil in Black in the later half of today's session. The core builders of Black are from telco. the original concepts of CVM, CLM is a very telco concept. You know, you've bought this ringtone, hello tune, and then they'll try and sell you some Babaji ka advice. Or you've bought, I mean, data was not mainstream then, but you've bought minutes, and your minutes are about to get over. They'll try and tell you that beforehand, and make sure you have more minutes before you kind of run out of minutes, etc. Telcos were the first ones to do this, and a lot of that has gone into our core thesis behind Black. We'll talk about that separately, but glad you brought it up. Coming back to the question.
Okay.
But, so Sankalp, the question really is, you've worked across different kinds of brands. You've seen the evolution of CLM. What has changed for you, and what kind of evolution have you seen compared to what people used to do earlier versus what they do now? Is the state of CLM engagement very different compared to how it was? Has it gotten better, worse? And where do you see this going, in your view?
No, I think very relevant question. I think back then, it was more focused towards, let's get CTRs, let's get more people to click. And I'm sure it's a life cycle thing, right? Life cycle of the company, I meant, rather than a user life cycle problem. But mainly, I used to see a lot of companies focusing just on CTRs. Then during, let's say 2016, 17, 18 days, when the app ecosystem actually started to boom, and then the focus kind of shifted to how many sessions you're driving with that CTR, how many let's say transaction-led sessions are happening with those communication. Then around COVID, and where the actual cost pressure came on a lot of industries, food delivery was growing, by the way, at that time. Probably one of the few industries which had year-on-year growth. But yeah, coming back, I think for them, incremental orders then was a thing, right? And again, a lot of the nuances gets split into which industry you are in and what life cycle stage of the company you are in. But I think the truest flavor of CRM or CLM, if you want to call it, I think if the true test is whether you are delivering engagement rather than a order-led sense. I think the true value still gets delivered over there because there are so many companies, so many people trying to do the same thing, right? To get you buy something.
Is engagement a very easy thing to define?
It's not. And a lot of them think that, let me just get user to transact or get an order. Easy way out. I think with a lot of education around, with a lot of, let's say, the baggage that we've had, because there are a lot of companies who have tried this. I think users are getting smarter as well, and I think they see through what you're trying to do. Even a food tech company is not spared if a lot of charges are put
Agreed.
In a very hidden way. So you need to be very honest and truthful to the customer, and we'll talk more, what we do at Grow. And I think it's a cultural mindset thing that, you have to control yourself. You need to only engage when it's required, and it's a very fine line. So we need to have a balance there, because users see it through, because a lot of companies are trying to get your attention that way. Right?
Fair enough.
So yeah, that's the evolution I see personally, that now it's a stronger case for more truthful, honest, only send when you require. Do not spam it, because there are a lot of people trying to do the same.
Fair.
Yeah.
Have you seen the talent pool on the CLM orchestration bit, on this growth stack bit, also evolve? Has it gotten better, worse? What's your assessment?
Oh, it's amazing actually. The way I think it's a hand-in-hand thing with how the tools have evolved, right? Or platforms, I should call it, customer engagement platforms, how they have evolved. I think the talent has also scaled accordingly. Still a bit harder to find the right talent, to be fair, but I think just the way these platforms are so engaging and so intuitive to, start and learn. In my time, probably let's say 10, 12, 13 years back, when something needs to be done, I am sure you would remember how how easy, quote unquote, was the process, right? So a lot of times you are any customization, it's just out of the picture, right? And nowadays it's quite plug and play. And a lot of things you're launching, I think it only makes the life easier for a lot of the marketeers sitting here. So yeah.
Glad to hear that. Okay, so this was a little bit of prelude into what's coming. What we've done with Sankalp is to put together a few slides. Can we have those? Do we have the slides? Okay, good. Yeah. So we'll talk about some of the key themes. I think Grow is a classic case of running engagement at scale on WebEngage, and there is a lot of lessons to be learned from that. We'll try and bring out some of those for the audience here as takeaways. So I'll move aside a little. Yeah, we had 50 other data points. Sankalp said no. We'll all go to jail tomorrow. So we got rid of all that. But these are what is publicly available. I mean, numbers aside, I think Sankalp, the question for you is, Grow is all about scale. I think when our lives are also so difficult, the reason why we take so much time to build products, launch products, is product building is actually very easy. The hard part is the scale thinking has to be a day zero problem. So everything that we build, we have to build for scale. Whether the product has to solve a problem, absolutely right, but it also has to work at scale. You're talking at insane scale. So that makes it harder, and putting that in the Grow context, Sankalp, right? How does this come in the way of your ability to experiment on the CLM or everything on your growth stack? Does it become a limiting factor? How do you think around this?
Around scale.
Around scale as a problem.
I think we are in the business of trust, right? And people trust us with their money around products, and we have a good double-digit number in terms of quarterly active users as well. So opening bell, for example, right? The stock market opening bell. If something is happening at 9:15, right, a.m., and you know how market is dynamic and real-time updates, it's every second and even microseconds that it's updating. So there's a time value of that information, right? And everything needs to happen. And it's very similar to the way it used to happen in gaming, right? When the IPL team, let's say, gets announced at 7 o'clock, the toss happens, the teams get announced. I think within those golden minutes of 3 to 4 minutes max is the entire user base needs to be informed, right? Now That's you right. can start. So very similar use case, right? Yeah. Opening bell, millions of users, you have to send in least time possible, right? Because the information has shelf value. And whatever you show versus when they land, that disconnect cannot happen. Hence platforms, help us when they offer scale as well as that ability to experiment. And
so rapid scaling, concurrency, all these are baked into every problem statement.
Correct.
That you
That's
think
a given.
Of, right? Yeah. That's always a given.
Yeah, that's always a given actually.
Yeah. Fair enough. So tying all this, when we asked Sankalp, how do you sort of think about your life cycle, your customer life cycle, right? And how do you put a structure to this? This is what Sankalp came up. Sankalp, please guide us through this. We think about these 4 different sort of wheels, if I may use that term, each having its own flavor. Is your system design the CLM orchestration that you do? Was this an afterthought, or this is how you think about a user lifecycle?
So I think the thought is always there whenever the user installs the app or let's say signs up on your website. I think that starting point is the beginning of everything that happens, at least for the engagement side. The thought process is always there to handhold, right? Right from the beginning right till, till let's say something happens. Now everything is an event, right?
Correct.
Visit is an event, lead is an event, qualified lead or a KYC. Now KYC, for example, it's a good 7-8 step process, right? I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately, there are lesser number of users who make it through rather than, than who don't. So yeah, and it takes time. So the need.
Sorry, you said a lot of people don't complete.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people don't get to complete, right?
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? It's a bad
That's
thing.
why I said the jury is out.
Oh, okay. Why is it a
Because-
bad thing? Like you don't want more users?
No, we want, but I think we have come to understand that everyone is on their own journey, whether it is having a document in place or funds in place and a lot of other things. On our platform, user needs to have these things, right?
Agreed.
Otherwise, there's no use,
True.
right?
Yes.
And we are talking about broking or investment right now.
Sure.
We have other products as well. So this is specifically for the investments. So and still it's a 7-8 step process, and average is a good 2-digit days it takes, 14-15 days it takes. And they need education, they need hand-holding, they need omni-channel nudge for it. So, and that's where these platforms actually come
Absolutely.
into play, right?
Absolutely. And
Yeah. So I just took one to probably explain, the need of a platform which actually not only captures that event or let's say the happening that is there, but also handholds the user through it.
Agreed.
So scale also comes over there. Right? We just crossed 100 million downloads.
Oh yes, congratulations. Absolutely.
Yes.
Fabulous milestone.
Yes.
Yeah. Give it up for Grow. I think the congratulations are also due on their IPO. Fabulous execution, Sankalp and the whole team at Grow. Congratulations.
Yes. No, it's great actually. It's great to see all the love that we get. And hence I'm saying that, scale is a given.
Agreed.
To be fair, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and you did mention that for a large chunk of your users, the average time that they take to actually activate
takes time, yeah.
is about 2 weeks, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. Which basically means CLM has to play a role
Correct.
in getting them back onto the platform. So can we go to the next one? This does talk about that. Sankal, please walk us through this. So this is all yours.
This is quite standard. I'm sure a lot of folks here would resonate with it. The idea is to, while the concept is obviously there, but the idea is always to have a full stack journey rather than, and not leaving any white spaces. I think the idea stems from that, because for us, onboarding and KYC is a step that you need to go through to start things. So activation obviously comes after that. And a lot of users actually during that time needs to have certain information through videos as well. So WhatsApp comes into the picture as well on onboarding pieces.
Sure.
Those who are taking more time. So there's a lot of play which
I
happens.
think we have a few campaigns as samples, but
Yeah. And activation is nothing but, and we have multiple products, right? Stocks, mutual funds, futures and options, and other trading products that are there. So ensuring that while not pushing the user, but still ensuring that they get what they want, right? I think that is the activation part. And there's a lot of education happens which around cross-sell. SEBI also ensures that, and I'm sure you would be reading a lot of these things anyway, that there's a lot of mis-selling also happens, right? People get pushed into buying, or financial decisions, let's say, people get pushed into. So you don't want to do that, right? So it's a completely DIY platform. So education is the route, then most possible route that we take, and users resonate with it, whether it is a cross-sell to a next product. That's where the next best action or next best product adjacency comes into play. And then, obviously, while all this happens, you can't let go of the core piece, which is real-time market updates, right? Whether it is morning bell, midday bell, closing bell, aftermarket, let's say insights or orders that they can place. Product launches is mostly as and when it happens. So we have an AMC arm as well, asset management company, which rolls out our own fund. So NFO is new fund offerings. IPOs is something that we anyway, as a platform, and there's a lot of IPOs anyway coming through.
Yeah.
So people need to know what IPOs are coming through,
Yeah.
how much, let's say, how much time is remaining. So there's a lot of responsible communication which happens over there as well. You don't want to send something that, let's say, this is like 50x,
Yeah.
right? Do you want to? So there's always a different psychology that you still approach this with. So yeah, a bit
lot
of
of that regulatory guardrail around what you can do.
correct,
Right?
and responsible as well,
And be
being
responsible.
consciously responsible.
Understood.
So and users actually resonate that trust back then,
Yes.
and they repay it back. Resurrection is nothing but if they have uninstalled the app, they have disengaged with the platform, bringing them back through emails, bringing them back through WhatsApp, and now there are so many different ways that you can engage with customers or email, right? There are in this day and age now there are so many interactive emails that are there.
Yep.
You can do a lot of stuff on the emails,
Agreed.
right? You can do a lot of stuff on WhatsApp as well.
Yep.
App or no app, I think you can orchestrate a lot of decision making over there as well, right? So I know while it is more helpful for web first companies, but yeah, decisions can still happen. So the entire stack, I think, mobile engagement platform plays a very crucial role in not only identifying but hand-holding and ensuring the user has that connection with the app, even if they lose it,
Right.
probably try to reinstate it.
Yep. No, thank you. And what we've done in the subsequent slides, each one of these stages, we have sort of deep dived, try and showcase what is it that Grow really does. We can go to the next one. Let's take a look at. This is the onboarding stage, right? Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So Sankalp, I was about to come to you with this, right? The one key question always is with every stage is, am I getting better? Right. I'm doing CLM to improve my onboarding, to improve my activation, right? And the struggle that I've seen in a lot of places in our own customers is this lack of clarity on, you want to improve. The problem statement is very clear. I want to improve my onboarding, right? But the lack of clarity on what do you measure that actually correlates to the problem statement so that you know you're getting better. It's always been very difficult. Why do you think so, and what should people do? How should they think about that?
I think best is to de-average the problem statement itself. Sometimes selecting the wrong problem statement is usual problem, right?
Sure.
So best is always to break it down and then assign an action. So for example, when you have a multi-step process to onboarding journey.
This is a classic. This is a classic case.
Yeah,
yes.
This is a classic case, right? You can then have stage level sub targets, right? That you treat each 7 stages as key different milestones that a user needs to take off. And then the whole module is different for that step. And it is a different format, content format, which comes to the users in videos, in banners, in text, in emails as well, in long form, because some users actually prefer long form. Yeah. You'll be really surprised, and probably it's an industry thing as well, because frankly, I've also experienced 6-7 industries now. The kind of intent that customer shows for reading an email in this industry is really good. We used to joke, whenever we meet with others that, probably fintech drives the email, keeps the email alive.
They do, to be honest. They do, to be honest. The CPaaS players will be out of business if SEBI and RBI and all these guys relaxed everything. But yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, treating each stage as a milestone and ensuring your omni-channel journey actually caters to that objective of each milestone rather than an overall one. Overall one can always be good for reporting purposes, like this, the key metrics to track.
Absolutely.
Right? Sign up to DMAT. Let's say DMAT is a dematerialized account that enables you to transact or trade in stocks. That is obviously the final goal. But if you ask the team, they actually look at each step separately.
Yeah.
And having a real-time tracking mechanism, I think that also helps.
Absolutely. I was fairly impressed because, this is very new to me too. The team obsesses over this timeline metric. I was very impressed because, if you want to say, I want to improve onboarding, and you say the only thing that I want to solve for is people spend 2 weeks doing this, then the process is entirely online, should just happen, in minutes for most users, then you want to obsess over that time. You are at a certain benchmark, and then you're trying to bring it down, and everything that you're trying to do with your CLM is towards that objective.
Yeah,
is to bring the time down.
Yeah. Towards that next milestone.
It's a great degree of clarity, as simple as it sounds.
Yeah.
Sankalp, I see most teams missing this clarity. You measure everything. Oh, what's my open? What's my spam? People are unsubscribing. Uninstalls are happening.
Yeah.
Absolutely, all of this will happen. All of this will happen. This is course of business. But for this problem statement, the only thing that matters is the time.
Yeah.
That's all you care about. That's all the business cares about.
Correct.
Instead of that, we measure everything else
and
lose sight of it.
Correct.
Which is the core problem. So.
Yeah, and you rightly said, the time spent at each stage is a symptom of a different problem that the user is going through, right? And you wouldn't believe, and I'm sure you know the data as well. We always keep seeing that, what is the golden time period that you don't really need to nudge.
Agreed.
People who are probably, they have all the documents, they are quite digital friendly, right? They are different people of different varying degrees of maturity that would be there, right? So those people probably don't need those nudges, is what I'm saying. So identifying those people and not actually, you don't need to send them things. You probably need things for those people who are actually, so the long tail that we talked about. And if you are able to de-average that, I think the clearer problem statement will help you deliver a lot of incremental outcomes over a period of time rather than just general goals.
Very valuable. I agree to what you're saying. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We can go to the next one, please. So activation, Sankalp, in your business means like my first transaction as a user?
Yeah, either stocks or mutual funds or any other trading product.
First investment, per se, right? First investment. Clearly, I think that's a big hurdle. There's a lot of trust, etc. involved. Now, Grow doesn't need that. Grow doesn't have the same problem. But getting the user to make that first transaction is always hard. How does CRM play a role in your world?
So I think this is where the app also plays a key role.
Agreed. Okay.
Yeah, CRM will come later. Actually, the app plays a key role.
Interesting. Okay.
What is the progressive disclosure that you're doing to the customers, right? You don't need to reveal everything to the new user. You don't need to bombard them with information on day zero or hour zero or time zero.
Just so that we all understand this well, you cannot promote anything to that user, right?
I cannot promote anything.
You cannot say these are the top 5 selling things today. Buy.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
I mean, there are different things there. I know.
Just to clarify to the group.
Absolutely. But you can't say buy these top 5 things.
Yeah. That's where the app comes into the picture, right. Where you actually make it so intuitive, and you only have the most critical things that the user sees for the first time. Once they are through the DMAT journey or the account creation journey, the first thing they see is actually very helpful information for them. So I think that helps a lot. CRMPs, CLMPs kicks in after that. Once the natural discovery has happened, once the natural conversion has happened, if it happens, if it doesn't happen, then you kind of learn the system. Basis their app behavior, on-app behavior, and then orchestrate that through off-app communications. So I think that is the key in gaining customers' trust.
Just a little bit of light now, because you're of course not in a position to promote products to sell, especially for the first-time buyer. I can only imagine a lot of people going to mutual funds, getting lost.
I just imagine an e-com app and you can't promote and you can't sell a SKU.
You'll have to shut business and go home, right?
Yeah.
So you can't promote products. Yeah. What does that engagement look like? What do you tell the user? Is it like if you don't invest, you'll die? Like you can't do that, right?
No, slightly nuanced than that. So at one end, the whole app piece, like I talked about, right? You make it very intuitive and you make it very easy for them to assimilate information. Second part is the education part. Now, that education part can happen over email, WhatsApp, or let's say short form content, which is PNs, depending on the user's intent and appetite. What is those? What are these educational content pieces, right? Now, you only need to talk what is happening in the market, right? And I think the journey that user takes, the intent grooming that happens, I think that is the engine which fuels it. These are IPOs which are happening. These were the, let's say, these were the returns that these funds created over a factual data, over a, let's say, a period. So you can only do as a recap or a market recap that, and I'm sure a lot of people in this room might be getting Grow Digest or or a market recap as well, right? So that's how you not only keep the users updated, and intuitively groom intent as well. Because once you start thinking, once you start viewing things, you actually, in that process then.
So education is the key to.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're hinting.
Yes.
Whether it's the native app experience or even extending to your CRM.
Or a long form content or something.
Or anything long
Or
form.
videos, in fact, also. Because a lot of, you should communicate to, you don't need to talk how much it is subscribed, obviously. But you need to at least educate that, what the company is about, what the fundamentals are, and then let the user take his or her choice. Enable them to take that choice. I think
and
that's
you do
where trust.
take these signals of engagement on this kind of content
Yeah. And
into consideration. Okay.
correct. And that gets fed into another engine, which actually then decides, okay, they have started one step into this.
They're closer to.
Yeah, that's
closer
where
to-
the NBA and next best product
Understood.
and other things come into the picture.
Understood. Fair enough. So yes, education is key to all the content strategy, all the CRM strategy that Grow applies. We see this all day. And we see this, Sankalp, also. I think the other category where we see this a lot is education. By nature of every tech company except for Byju's works with us in this country. We've been blessed on that too. The thing about all edtech businesses, whether they are K-12, prep, the common theme in those is that you sell once and then you have to engage for a year or 6 months or whatever that term is. If that engagement is not high quality, your renewal next year is not going to happen. It's just how that business works. So the quality of engagement matters a lot more than the sale event itself, because if this is good, then the sale happens.
Yeah, and it will be a function of how good, not just the engagement quality, but also how good is the course quality as well. Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. And in my comparison or in my parlance, that would be similar to on-app behavior, right? So that's what I was trying to say, that a combination of your on-app behavior signals and combined with your off-app communication engagement, which the customer does, I think you have a lot of signals.
Absolutely. And to just that, another 30 seconds, Ankit was giving some education tech examples when he was talking about CDPX. The app engagement in that business, so for example, live classes, live tests, live webinars is a key application on their apps for users and come. If you've bought a course and I'm not taking classes, then you're missing out. If I'm preparing for IIT and I'm not taking these tests, mock tests, then they'll never make money off you again. So what we're trying to drive is attendance in those. More attendance in
and
those.
let the rest fall into
and
place.
That's the key metric.
Yeah.
For the CRM person there, that's one of the key metrics.
Yeah, and I fully agree with it, because few of the things you can't really ram it down. Correct. Right? It will be treated as spam.
Agreed. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
I think it's the right strategy that, you know, at least get them through the door, and let them take their own course.
All right. Okay. We can go to the next one. We covered most of this. I think this is the IPO stories that you were trying to cover. Each one of these, and again, please double click on the fact that signals that you get from each one of these. Grow is one of the big reasons why we end up paying a lot of money to AWS. They give us more data than we need, than they need, but we take it nonetheless. And it took us a lot of time to realize that a lot of that is being put to use because these signals, right? Who is consuming the content, who is engaging more versus less, the segmentation that they do, all of this actually uses those signals. And I've been very pleasantly surprised, Sankalp, to discover all that. I keep going back to you asking the same question. Is this the wheel we saw? All this, you talk about feedback loop, right? Generally, I find companies struggle trying to, use all these signals back into their core objective, right? Core objective is more business, right? More revenue, no matter what business you are. I see people struggle tying all this together. What works for you? Intuitively, why is it different in your case? What have you done fundamentally different?
Got it. So I think the key over here, like I spoke in the beginning, is first of all gaining customers' trust and then keeping it. Both are big problem statements. One is an acquisition statement and one is an engagement objective. So keeping customer trust, you have to ensure that they get what they want rather than you push what you want to sell. I think there's a big difference over there. And hence the problem comes with tying back to the revenue pieces. So in our case, I think what we have experienced is just ensuring the customer remains engaged on the platform.
Okay.
I think that is
the key.
That is one of the key metrics because users are quite intelligent, especially around personal finance nowadays. Especially after 2020, correct. Right? All the content which is happening and all the education that has happened, I think there has never been a better time where user awareness about personal finance has been so good.
Amazing.
It's still improving, and it still needs to improve, I think. But yeah, that's where you need to draw your North Star that, this is something that you will drive only till engagement. Yep. That's a conscious choice you take. Because if you go otherwise, there are a lot of things that will make, that you'll be forced to do, yep. Right? And you don't want to do that. Okay. Tying back to the trust wala. So it's a conscious choice. Understood. And yes, it works for us. Understood. You would notice that, you won't get a lot of notifications as well on your app.
Yes.
And that's by choice.
No, that's, and yeah, I mean, absolutely. People who are already engaged, you really don't want to.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Good to hear, good to hear. All right, we're coming to the end of this. No matter how hard you try, some users will still go dormant all the time. What you think about this as a problem statement baked into your wheel itself. Sankalp, why worry about these users generally?
So, like I was saying in the beginning, I would want to tie it back to something. Every user is on their own journey, right? Unless something goes very wrong to displace that trust, gaining trust, losing trust. I think whether it is in form of a bad experience on the app, or probably because we are in the business of money and how people invest money, there would be instances where the decisions may not go in their way, right? At that moment. So I think educating customers that, obviously it's part of a bigger scheme rather than, just one bad instance which has happened. So there are always users who will go through this cycle. And what we have realized is that it's not something that you can control, but it's something definitely that you can remedy, and you can, and once you reach out to these customers with a different intent of bringing them back, rather than taking the education route, rather than just providing a sweetener to bring them back, I think they see through it. as well. And that's why it's important, because users should feel that we are a partner in their journey, growth journey, or investment journey for that matter. So I think those are the markers that help us. And
Interesting the way you describe it. So you're saying this is a continuous process.
correct,
Right.
correct. And we totally are at peace with it.
This is very different compared to classic e-commerce.
Yeah, it's very
retail.
different.
That's very different. They're just, the user just stopped buying. And it's not that, they do it in cycles.
Yeah.
They just forgot about your brand
No,
altogether. So.
In a food major that I was in, right? Obviously there are instances where food ordering behavior would be there, right? There are instances, right? Let's say in India, eating out is like 8 times in a month, for example. Right? In other countries, it might be more, some it might be lesser. What I'm saying is that there will be some users who are still ordering, but probably not through your app. Just go back to the reason and that instance, apart from a bad app experience. I think that is something that you can't control, or a different team's controls it. But I think other than that, everything is in your control. And yeah, I think in pizza for that matter, right? I think different launches definitely help that. While that instance, the user might have been lost, but re-engaging them back with some exciting launches, I think that helped users get back. And with a lot of offers, it further sweetened the deal. But then we realized, oh, the user only came for that instance only. And then we are thinking, then what went wrong in this instance? So what I'm trying to say is that if you're able to hit the sweet spot without the sweetener, and treat it as one of the points in the sine curve that happens, right? I think it's fine. If you treat it like that, it's a different way to look at it.
Interesting you said that. All right, we can go. I think we're just trying to summarize this. Grow is a classic case of multi-channel orchestration. They do this CLM orchestration across all channels. Any key lessons, learnings here? Did you ramp this up slowly, gradually on the CRM, or this was all one go, one shot?
No, it was gradual, to be fair. Definitely Grow was not built in a day.
You built it a lot faster than everybody else did, including we did, so yes.
No, but I think, to be fair, a lot of these things also came, like RCS is definitely a new thing, at least in the latest Avatar, obviously. It's something that has been around for 5-6 years now in different forms. But yeah, as and when new capabilities got added, I think WhatsApp is a much improved product right now, what it was.
Costlier now also, by the way.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, any WhatsApp guys here? Yeah. So I think, back to your question. I'm sure everybody would be doing this omni-channel way, but I think the point was that don't try to rush through everything without understanding the need of it.
I agree.
I think that's the key thing, and user doesn't need everything at once, to be fair, right? You just have to understand what journey, what data point, what instance do they require these things. So for us, I think if push notifications works like magic, probably keep it that to your customer. Don't have to push through that. Okay.
And this all ties back, Sankalp, to the same thing you were saying, right? The signals that you've been receiving.
Don't need to push emails to them.
No need to push it.
Yeah,
I agree.
because they are comfortable with that.
I agree.
Yeah. So similarly, like other things as well.
Thank you, Sankalp. I think that's the end of it. We have time for a couple of questions, but thank you, Sankalp. You've been great, and
thank you.
Congratulations once again on all things you've done at Grow. Questions for Sankalp? I can take a couple. We have a minute, so yeah. Anybody has any questions? He's going to be around anyway.
Or at the bar we can.
Of course, yes. Don't leave until the bar is open.
Yeah, I have one. Sankalp, Grow, the product wheel that you had shown, there are multiple products, right? And growth team is a central team. And now you also have a golden period where you don't want to nudge users. So when this golden period ends for a particular user, how do you strategize which product, which line of business gets the attention of that particular user?
Yeah.
Can you even influence that? No, right? I mean,
There are a lot of regulations around it as well, because you can't be, unless until user has shown intent in that line of business, you can't really mix within things, right? And these are all separate entities, right? So you need to ensure that user has shown some kind of intent, especially on those broad product lines that you talked about. Within the investment domain, I think it becomes slightly easier with stocks, mutual funds, IPOs, and derivative products that are there. But you need an intent for other products, and you can't really mix it over there.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Or shall we call it a close? All right, Sankalp, thank you so much.